everyone, and welcome back to our Joy Without Justification podcast. And last episode, we touched a little bit on Dan's anxiety and OCD. And so this time, we're going to touch a little more on it and maybe get a little bit more of an understanding of what anxiety is, how it is to go through it.
Yeah. So anxiety is always future focused. It's your thoughts are carrying you into the future, looking for problems that aren't really there yet. So you're kind of imagining outcomes to scenarios, and the obsessive compulsive thoughts cause those fears to just kind of circulate in your mind. So it's like a tornado of thoughts just going over in your mind. You've literally mapped out every scenario. You've looked at each thing 1,000 different ways. And anxiety for me was in the pit of my stomach. It was like knots and butterflies and sickness. And I could, if I was in the midst of a bad attack, I would break out into a sweat. I would have chest pain. I've passed out from panic attacks. I've physically passed out. It could be, it sets tension in my jaw. My anxiety would get so bad, I would grind my teeth and snap my teeth off. So, I mean, it can be that severe.
When you say that with knots in the stomach, I mean, both of us deal with it. I'm the only one right now on medication for my stomach because of it. And I don't know if it was just from anxiety or what, but I had gotten myself to get an ulcer
Probably.
or something. But yeah, I mean, but we all deal with anxiety. I mean, you're thrown into anxiety like you, not always in the same situation as you, but ever since you're a kid, you're thrown into anxiety. Like when your mother takes you to that first day of kindergarten and you're dropped off and you're left without mommy around you anymore, and it's hard. It's hard for kids to go through that.
Sure.
And then you're going through grade school and you're a little bit better because you're around them same kids for the next 6 years. But then you're thrown into high school and junior high.
Yeah.
And like for me, we were thrown into Du Bois. So the kids I went to school with in Penfield are now mixed in amongst these other kids from Du Bois, Falls Creek, Reynoldsville, all that. And you got all these other faces. And the hard part that probably you went through with your anxiety a little more than anybody else in my situation would go through was because of the religion you guys went to, the church, you weren't allowed to talk to certain people.
Well, and that's true. But let me just kind of backpedal by saying what you're talking about is a normal anxious moment that we all have. Like if we're starting something new and we're unsure, we all have that anxiety. And for some people, it's like, it's just because it's unfamiliar territory, but they can be excited at the same time. It could be something you want to do.
Yeah.
Well, for someone like me or those who suffer from anxiety disorders, that's every day. It could be, it doesn't have to be a new situation. If you're in anxiety, that's your default mode. You default to anxiety instead of peace. So, with that being said, yes, sometimes anxiety as deep as mine is grounded in some kind of trauma. You know, it took root probably back with my family, you know, and overall, I think I was raised in a decent family. My father, before he started into the church, he was an anxious person. And, you know, listening to him and my uncles, his dad was an anxious person. And his dad is believed to have jumped off the Mill Bridge and killed himself. He was an anxious person. So with that being said, my dad could be the type of guy I could go out and break the law. And I could come home and sit down and tell him, and as long as I told him, he'd be fine. You could do something silly like sneeze while he was watching something he wanted to watch on TV, and he'd flip out and beat the shit out of you. I can remember being punched in the stomach. I remember being held up by my hair. And those weren't daily things, but it taught you to always be on guard. Then we get into the church, and he is, trying to live a good life, but the church is that shit crazy for lack of anything else I can compare it to. I mean, like when you had demons living in trees and the screaming and yelling and rolling on the floor, talking in tongues, and I'm not making fun of, if you believe that, please don't attack us, but this was bizarre. No. Anyway, you weren't allowed to have any kind of friends. I was going into junior high when you are socially awkward as it is, and I was a fat redhead with freckles. So life was against me from the get-go. Okay. So now you add into this crazy religion, and I was young and I believed it. I wanted to be a good, godly kid. So you weren't allowed to be around other kids. You weren't allowed to watch stuff on TV. You weren't allowed to wear shorts. You had to wear long pants. You weren't allowed to listen to any kind of music. The list goes on and on and on of the things you couldn't do, and everything was a sin, and you were just a miserable, no good, unworthy piece of garbage. So you had this message being taught to you. Like our church was so crazy that if they heard me say, "Oh shit," out in the parking lot, I would have to go to the altar and pray until tears were gushing out your face. Then you had to be rebaptized. So, I mean, like, I was wet a lot as a kid. Okay.
and again, we're not knocking any form of religion. Dan and I both go to church. We both believe in God and everything. And this is not a religious podcast. So
this is my experience.
Like Dan said, please don't come after us if we make it sound like we're making fun of religion. We're not.
No, this was my experience. Okay.
Exactly.
So, but that all adds up to how you feel and value yourself.
But you do seem to have made a lot of progress.
Yeah.
And we've discussed it, from your meditations, and you sort of have studied and looked up on the Zen philosophy and everything.
Yeah. So I started probably before I met you. I would go through different periods of my life. It was difficult. I was really living a lot of poverty, and I was living in Canton, rent was ridiculous. I didn't have a car. I had to walk everywhere, and my life was just not good. It was not in good space. So, part of being in the Episcopal Church then was we learned about centering prayer, which for all intents and purposes is the Christianized version of transcendental meditation. So I kind of already had the building block. I got away from it. Now, what drew me into Zen, though, is not only the meditation, but the philosophy that it carries. So Buddhism itself really is not a religion. It's a philosophical way of looking at life. Okay, so life is a series of events. Okay, we don't control life. Life flows the way it wants to. It's not a prejudice thing. It's not going on making you poor and making you rich. Just life just happens. And you have to accept as how it happens as it's happening. You can't really change it.
Well, that's true. Like what you're saying with whether you're rich, whether you're poor, finances is one thing that a lot of people, I mean, me myself, I'll admit it. When I'm paying bills, finances is one thing that always,
me too,
a lot of people get anxious over.
Sure.
And, and it could happen whether you're rich or whether you're poor. Yeah, you could have all the money there is to have, and you're still going to have that little bit of anxious moment because of greed.
Well,
you want to hold on to that money if you have it.
Most of us know that we're 2 missed paychecks away from disaster in today's world. I mean, that's why. And that makes me nuts too. It definitely does. But
again, if you think that's touching on politics, we're not a political channel either, and we're not going to go there either.
Okay. But anyway, navigating through all that stuff, my mind just would be screaming intrusive thoughts. So what I learned with my Zen practice is the idea of accepting life as it is without clinging to how I want it to be. So what that means is what you learn in Zen is thoughts are just phenomena that happen in your mind. Okay, you are not your thoughts are not you. And as you learn that life is impermanent, you learn that life is made up of us having suffering and greatness. We're going to experience both. And the idea is to experience the bad and feel it so that we can appreciate the good when it happens. But what we do is we have the experience and then we let our thoughts carry us off into a whole nother direction. So with meditation, what it kind of does is it kind of pulls you back a little bit so that you're observing your thoughts like a movie. So when you're in the midst of anxiety, you are with your thoughts. It's like it's a wild horse. You're riding a wild horse being pulled by a team of wild horses, dragging you into all this chaos, where meditation slows it down enough that you can kind of observe them. So you don't attach anything to them. So what we do is we kind of say good and bad, like fire's bad because, fire can burn down your house, but fire's good if you cook with it. So we learn to just see the thought. Okay. And, you can name that thought worry. You can name that thought work. I tend to worry a lot about work when I am meditating because my job can be very stressful. And then when those thoughts pop up, I say work and just let it go. Let it dissolve on its own. So that's the key for how Zen can help you.
Well, good. So then why don't we have a moment of meditation here? And if you are going through anxiety or if you are going through even an anxious moment in your life, hopefully this meditation will help you. So Dan,
okay, we just want to take a moment, just a brief moment. And anytime you can just have your mind kind of settle is good. So wherever you are, just take that deep breath in. Just let it out slowly. Continue to breathe, just in and out. And as you breathe, just notice the rhythm of your body. Feel or observe the rise and fall of your chest as your breath goes in and your breath goes out. And just feel the sensation of the air moving through you. Right now, in this moment, just think about this moment. Whatever worry's going on in your mind, understand it at this moment. That worry can't hurt you. You're peaceful in this moment. So let go of any need to change or fix anything. Just simply be here in this moment, just as you are.
All right. Thank you. And I do think when we do these meditations during our podcast, they do seem to help a lot.
Okay. We'd love to hear what you think. Do you like the meditations, or what would you like to see us do different?
And send us at joywithoutjustification@gmail.com. Follow us on all social media, YouTube, Facebook, Reddit, Blue Sky. And you can also listen to our podcast on Spreaker.com. Yes, it's Spreaker, not Speaker. Spreaker.com, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. And, let us know. Tell us how we're doing. Give us maybe even something you might want to hear us talk about.
And we just want to thank you to everyone who's listening. Remember, this is a journey and you don't have to do it alone. And we love that you guys are listening to us. And we're just two guys that have been through it, and we just like to share our experience. So maybe you can glean something from us. So thank you so much.
And with that, we would like to, until next time, everyone, please take care of yourselves. Peace out.